you can live like a king on a budget here in the Philippines. However, the quality of life will be nowhere near what you are used to back in the West. If you are a foreigner, you'll get a foreigner price, and if you're a local, you'll get the local price, which can be a huge difference. And I mean huge. I've seen it myself. In the Philippines, a lot of foreigners are attracted to come visit and see the Philippines and what it offers. Of course, for the most part, a lot of foreigners come to the Philippines for two specific reasons, and that is, of course, women and the cheap cost of living. Other foreigners have other priorities as well, aside from the top two reasons as to why they come here, which are the beautiful beaches, the nature, and the vibrant culture. It is a dream destination for foreigners who are looking to escape the daily grind of their home countries. However, for some foreigners, this is not as picture perfect as the postcard. In fact, many foreigners have regrets about moving to the Philippines. And these foreigners who have regrets moving to the Philippines are doing so because they have been allured by so many vloggers online talking about how beautiful and perfect paradise it is for everybody, when in fact it isn't as perfect as what they portray. And yes, to those people who say that every country has its pros and cons, I agree. But for some foreigners, the cons of living in the Philippines outweigh the pros. And no, I do not hate my country for saying such negative things. However, it is important to point it out and help out those foreigners who are thinking of moving here in the Philippines and deciding to sell all their stuff and then later on regretting their decision. I know I'll get hated by this video that I'm going to make because people, especially Filipinos, who do not understand that not everything here in the Philippines is perfect. They feel defensive when somebody criticizes the country, and I understand that. But let me just be upfront for you all. I am simply sharing my honest opinions and experiences living in the Philippines, and I do believe that it is important to provide a balanced perspective for those considering making a life-changing decision, like moving here, for example. And it is not about hating the country, but rather being realistic about the challenges that comes with living here. So with that, let's get started. So the first reason why foreigners regret moving to the Philippines is because of the Filipino bureaucracy. If you're a foreigner who comes from a country where everything is online and more organized with paperwork, less hassle, then brace yourself once you come to the Philippines. Because here in the Philippines, when you apply for a visa extension, for example, or maybe you're applying for a visa to be a permanent resident, opening a bank account as a foreigner, and other things that foreigners need to do here in the Philippines that include tons of paperwork, can be an endless nightmare of waiting in long lines, dealing with multiple government agencies. We have this slow processing time, and time to time the confusing government regulation that changes all the time. And if you are a foreigner who has experienced these things here in the Philippines, you will know that once you're processing important paperwork, you have to wait in line for hours and sometimes even days just to submit your documents, and then you wait again for the approval. And It is not very uncommon to wait weeks or even months for a single piece of documentation to be processed. And just when you think you're good to go, another problem may arise, like, oh, you're missing a single piece of paper that you need to pass before getting the approval. I mean, it is frustrating. I understand you all. So first-time foreigners who come to the Philippines, they often find themselves frustrated with how things are working, especially when it comes to bureaucratic processes. And this might be especially upsetting for people who are accustomed to a system in which everything is quick, consistent, and digital. So another reason that foreigners end up regretting moving to the Philippines is because of the illusion of retirement paradise. So many foreigners who choose to move to the Philippines, they have this idea of what their retirement looks like. And they created this image in their heads that their memories consist of enjoying the warm weather, going to the beach with their gorgeous petite Filipino girlfriend, going on trips, and just living a carefree lifestyle. However, these foreigners who have this made up image of what their retirement should look like, they don't really anticipate what the reality will be like living here in the Philippines. Once they step foot here in the Philippines, they will be bombarded by the real cost of living, especially if they are living on a fixed income each month. I mean, yeah, it's true that the cost of living here in the Philippines is much lower than that of your home country, but they have to take into consideration the important factors such as the healthcare, you get the transportation, you get the housing allowance, and your daily expenses, which can add up quickly. For example, healthcare here in the Philippines they're quite expensive, really. And especially if you have health problems and you want to do your checkups on a monthly basis and you want to go to a high-end hospital, which I know a foreigner would like to go to for a quality care, of course. But in rural areas, you might not have access to the high quality care you need. And even in cities, healthcare costs can add up quickly if you don't have adequate insurance coverage. So another thing to keep in mind is that the house rentals here in the Philippines are high due to inflation. So before, a bedroom apartment or house, you could rent for like 15 to 20,000 pesos per month, but now prices have doubled, especially if you're looking for places in big cities like Manila, Cebu City, BGC, Taguig, or Davao, and even in smaller areas like Dumaguete, where a lot of foreigners are residing, prices can be very ridiculously high, and it can be very hard to find a comfortable, high-quality place at a reasonable price. Some expat-friendly neighborhoods have rent that is comparable to that of more developed countries, and imported goods, particularly food, can make your wallet cry. So foreigners who have thought that they could live like kings for a fraction of the costs are surprised to learn that expenses can quickly add up, especially if they want to enjoy modern comforts or they want to live in a popular expat community. I mean, sure, you can live like a king on a budget here in the Philippines. However, the quality of life will be nowhere near what you are used to back in the West. Moreover, retirement is not just about sitting at home, watching movies, or playing games. I mean, sure, you can do that because you're retired. However, many foreigners who move here with their mindset to just sitting around and doing nothing, they often find themselves being bored and lonely. So if you have spent your life working in a fast-paced environment and then suddenly transitioning to a retiring, not doing anything, and you have all the time in the world, of course it can be shocking to your system. Additionally, some foreigners find it more difficult to maintain the laid-back lifestyle than they had anticipated, particularly in places where it is not fully developed and there are not a lot of things to do. So retirees struggle to find fulfillment and they often find themselves moving back to their home country. And another unsettling reality that many foreigners face here in the Philippines is being viewed as a walking ATM. And no, I do not mean about being in a relationship type of ATM. I mean it in a sense that wherever you go, you'll feel exploited being a foreigner. While this is not the norm, there are establishments or places and individuals who created a sense of where expats feel financially exploited just because of their status as a foreigner, especially in tourist areas where they have different prices for locals and expats. And if you're a foreigner, you'll get a foreigner price, and if you're a local, you'll get the local price, which can be a huge difference. And I mean huge. I've seen it myself. And even though I recognize that, businesses must make money, however, I do not think that they should charge you exorbitant prices just because you are a foreigner in our country. And in another instances, you will think that it's just a small difference. But when you think about it, these differences, they add up to a lot, both in money and irritation over time. As an example, when you go to some local market and you pay attention to what the Filipino in front of you paid per kilo, and you try for the same price, some vendors will refuse and they would literally, and I mean literally, rather lose the sale than sell it to you at the local price. In a way, you are subsidizing the price for the locals, something that you might feel is okay, but I don't think you sign up for that when moving to this country. Imagine if they did that in your country, then people would be called racists and the police would come and shut down the business. Or maybe I'm wrong. Comment down below and let me know. And another instance is when you come to the Philippines as a first timer, of course, and you haggle for a taxi ride. And then you realize you're being charged a fare that's doubled or worse, tripled compared to what the locals would pay. And these little circumstances are, of course, easy to ignore at first, dismissing them as part of the foreigner tax. However, with time, they accumulate and become a continual source of frustration. And there's a lot of situations where you, as a foreigner, are paying way more than what you're supposed to pay. But if you just dismiss those small instances, it can lead to a big scam. Well, with that, I would like to say thank you for watching this video. I know there are other things or other reasons as to why foreigners often end up leaving the country, and I didn't want to mention them all because I know you guys will comment on those, especially those foreigners who have experience living in the Philippines. With that, I would like to say thank you everyone for watching this video again, and hope to see you all in the next one. Bye for now.